Today, I want to speak to the women of God, to the daughters of the Most High, to those who sometimes feel unseen, unheard, or overwhelmed by life's challenges. I want to assure you today, God is watching over you, protecting you, and shielding you from harm in ways you may not even realize. But how can you know if God's protective hand is upon you? How can you discern that you are under His divine shield? Today I want to share 7 clear indicators that reveal God's protection in your life. In life, we often face circumstances that seem overwhelming, storms that come without warning, challenges that shake the foundation of our faith, and pressures that feel too heavy to bear. For a woman seeking to live a life aligned with God, it can sometimes feel as though the world is working against her, testing her patience, faith, and endurance at every turn. Yet, amidst all these trials, one of the clearest indicators that God is shielding you is the presence of peace in your heart, a deep, unshakable calm that cannot be explained by circumstances. This peace is not merely the absence of trouble, it is a divine presence that protects, sustains, and reassures, reminding you that you are not alone. When a woman experiences peace amidst chaos, she discovers a profound truth. God's protection is not always about removing difficulties from her life, but about providing the strength, clarity, and serenity to endure them. This peace is different from worldly peace, which often depends on circumstances or the temporary quiet of a situation. The peace God gives transcends understanding. It remains firm even when the winds of uncertainty blow, when relationships are strained, when financial pressures mount, or when health concerns weigh heavily. It is a spiritual peace rooted in trust and faith, a silent assurance that God is actively guarding her steps and that no harm can come against His purpose for her life. Many women can testify to moments when, despite visible troubles surrounding them, their hearts remained calm, their minds stayed clear, and their spirits refused to be shaken. This is a hallmark of divine protection. It is God's way of saying, I am with you, I am guarding you. Trust me, and you will not be overcome. Such peace is not passive, it is active, empowering a woman to face life with confidence and courage. It allows her to make wise decisions under pressure, to respond with grace instead of fear, and to move forward without hesitation even when the path seems uncertain. The presence of peace amidst chaos also strengthens a woman's faith when she notices that even in the most turbulent seasons, her heart is not consumed by anxiety. She recognizes that God's shielding hand is at work. This recognition nurtures deeper trust in God's plan and timing. It reminds her that she is not navigating life alone, that her steps are guided by divine wisdom, and that the very challenges she faces are opportunities for God to display His faithfulness. A woman who experiences this peace understands that it is not dependent on external circumstances, but on the eternal and unchanging nature of God's love and protection. Furthermore, peace amidst chaos serves as a testimony to others. In a world often dominated by fear, doubt, and uncertainty, a woman who remains calm in the midst of trials becomes a living example of God's shielding presence. Her demeanor, patience, and unwavering faith inspire others to seek the same divine reassurance. It demonstrates that true strength is not found in avoiding challenges, but in trusting God's protection, even when challenges are unavoidable. It is important to note that achieving this peace is not about suppressing emotions or pretending that struggles do not exist. God's peace does not remove the reality of storms. Rather, it allows a woman to live confidently and courageously through them. It enables her to pray without panic, to trust without wavering, and to hope without fear. This inner calm becomes a spiritual fortress, a shield that guards her mind and heart against despair, anxiety, and doubt. Ultimately, peace amidst chaos is a sign that God is actively shielding a woman. It is a gift that strengthens her faith, protects her spirit, and guides her steps even in the most challenging seasons. When a woman experiences this peace, she can rest assured that God's hand is over her life, that she is being prepared for greater purposes, and that she is never alone in her journey. It is an unmistakable indication that she is cherished, protected, and guided by a loving God whose plans for her are perfect and who will never abandon her. In the journey of life, timing is everything. Opportunities, relationships, and breakthroughs do not always come when we want them, nor do they always appear in ways we expect. For a woman walking in faith, one of the clearest indicators that God is shielding her is the way doors open at the precise moment they are needed, often in ways that seem beyond natural explanation. This is a divine orchestration, a clear sign that God is actively guiding her path, positioning her for success, protection, and blessing, while simultaneously closing doors that would lead to harm, delay, or destruction. Understanding this principle requires a shift in perspective, from relying on human timing and control to trusting in God's perfect plan and His ability to intervene on one's behalf. When doors open at the right time, it is not merely about luck or coincidence. It is a deliberate act of God's protection and favor. A woman may find herself in a situation where the right job opportunity appears just as she is in need, or a vital relationship develops precisely when she requires guidance or support. Sometimes these doors are unseen at first. What appears as a small, insignificant opportunity may lead to life-changing blessings. God's timing is always perfect because He sees the entirety of our journey, the potential obstacles, and the ultimate purpose He has set for us. When a door opens at the right time, it often carries not only opportunity but also protection, steering her away from paths that could lead to disappointment, danger, or spiritual compromise. This divine timing is also closely linked to discernment. A woman under God's shield may sense that certain opportunities are right while others are not. Her intuition, strengthened by prayer and spiritual awareness, allows her to recognize which doors are divinely guided. Sometimes what seems like a closed door may be a blessing in disguise, a protective barrier preventing her from entering a season that is not yet ready or a situation that could be harmful. Conversely, the sudden opening of a door that seems impossible or unexpected is a sign that God is actively arranging her steps, aligning circumstances, and positioning her for success. Recognizing and walking through these doors requires faith, courage, and attentiveness to God's leading. One of the remarkable aspects of this divine protection is the timing itself. Human beings often operate on impatience, comparing their journey to the success or progress of others. But God's timing is never early, never late. It is perfect. When a woman experiences doors opening at just the right moment, it is evidence that she is being guided by wisdom beyond her understanding. It is a reassurance that she is not being left to struggle blindly, but that her steps are being carefully directed, ensuring that she benefits fully from every opportunity while avoiding pitfalls that may have otherwise harmed her. These moments of divine timing are also a source of encouragement and spiritual growth. They teach patience, resilience, and trust in God's plan. A woman may look back and realize that the doors that remained closed were actually blessings in disguise, saving her from unnecessary heartbreak, failure, or compromise. Meanwhile, the doors that opened unexpectedly brought provision, protection, and advancement that she could not have arranged on her own. In this way, every open or closed door becomes a testament to God's shielding hand, guiding her journey with wisdom and love. Furthermore, the opening of doors at the right time is not only about personal gain. Often, these opportunities allow a woman to impact others positively, to fulfill her calling, and to be a channel of blessing to those around her. God's shielding is strategic. It positions her in the right place at the right time, so she can thrive while serving His purpose. This divine alignment brings not only safety but also significance, as her life becomes a testimony of God's care, guidance, and provision. Ultimately, doors opening at the right time reveal a God who is intimately involved in every aspect of a woman's life. They demonstrate His active protection, His perfect timing, and His desire to lead her toward blessing while shielding her from harm. They remind her to trust in His wisdom, to walk in faith, and to move boldly when opportunities arise, confident that she is under divine guidance. When a woman sees these doors open in alignment with her prayers, needs, and destiny, she can know with certainty that God's hand is shielding her, directing her, and ensuring that every step she takes leads to purpose, protection, and fulfillment. Life is full of moments that challenge our understanding, situations that test our faith, and circumstances that seem impossible to navigate on our own. For a woman walking in faith, one of the clearest indicators that God is shielding her is the presence of divine interventions, moments when God steps in to protect, guide, or redirect her life in ways that go beyond human explanation. These interventions may not always be dramatic or visible to the world, but their impact is profound, and their purpose is always to preserve, protect, and prepare her for the path God has laid out. Divine interventions are not random acts of luck. They are deliberate, intentional, and powerful expressions of God's love and care. A divine intervention often manifests as protection from harm. It could be something as simple as avoiding an accident, preventing a financial loss, or steering clear of a relationship that could lead to heartache or compromise. At other times, it is more dramatic, a sudden breakthrough, an unexpected reversal of a dire situation, or a miraculous provision when all hope seems lost. The common thread in all these experiences is the unmistakable sense that God has acted on her behalf, even when human reasoning cannot explain it. These moments serve as tangible evidence that she is under God's shield and that He is actively involved in her life. What makes divine interventions remarkable is their timing. Often, they occur precisely when the woman is in the greatest need, at the point where human resources and solutions have been exhausted. In these moments, she realizes that God's protection does not always come before challenges arise, but frequently manifests during or after the crisis to deliver her in a way that is perfectly orchestrated. This teaches an important spiritual lesson. God's shield is not about avoiding difficulty entirely, but about ensuring that she emerges safely, strengthened, and prepared for the next season of her life. Divine interventions also highlight God's wisdom and foresight. While a woman may see only a fragment of her journey, God sees the entire picture, the past, present, and future. He knows the dangers that lie ahead, the wrong turns that could derail her destiny, and the exact timing required for blessings to manifest. When she experiences divine intervention, it is a reminder that her life is not subject to random circumstances, but is under the careful watch and guidance of a loving God. These interventions are often subtle, a timely word from a friend, an inner conviction to pause or act, or circumstances that unexpectedly align in her favor, but their impact is profound and life-changing. Another critical aspect of divine interventions is their role in shaping character and faith. When a woman witnesses God's hand in her life, she learns to trust Him more deeply. Each miraculous escape, timely provision, or unexplainable resolution reinforces her faith and strengthens her spiritual resilience. She begins to recognize that she is not navigating life alone, and that her challenges are opportunities for God to demonstrate His faithfulness. This awareness cultivates patience, humility, and dependence on God, transforming her into a vessel that reflects His glory and wisdom to those around her. Divine interventions are also designed to guide a woman toward her purpose. Sometimes the intervention prevents her from taking a path that would be destructive, while at other times it opens a way toward destiny, blessing, or spiritual growth. God's protective hand ensures that she is positioned correctly for His plan to unfold. Even when the circumstances seem confusing or discouraging, His interventions serve as a compass, pointing her toward what is right and away from what is harmful. They are a reminder that God's protection is both practical and purposeful, safeguarding her life while advancing her mission. Ultimately, divine interventions are one of the most profound indicators that a woman is under God's shield. They are evidence of His love, wisdom, and care, demonstrating that she is not alone in her journey. These interventions remind her to trust God fully, to rely on His guidance, and to remain steadfast in faith, knowing that even when situations appear hopeless, God is actively working to protect, guide, and bless her. A woman who experiences divine interventions recognizes that her life is being directed by a power far greater than her own, and she walks confidently, knowing that God's shielding hand is always at work, keeping her safe, aligned with His will, and prepared for every blessing He has prepared for her. Life is full of decisions, crossroads, and moments where we must choose which path to take. For a woman walking in faith, one of the most subtle yet powerful indicators that God is shielding her is the presence of intuitive warnings. These are the quiet nudges, inner feelings, and gentle promptings that guide her away from danger, harm, or spiritual compromise. Unlike dramatic signs or overt interventions, intuitive warnings often appear in the form of feelings, impressions, or even persistent thoughts that cannot be explained by logic or reason. They are God's way of communicating with her, of whispering guidance into her heart and protecting her from what she cannot yet see. Intuitive warnings are a profound demonstration of God's personal involvement in a woman's life. While the world operates on external circumstances and human reasoning, God often works internally, speaking directly to the heart. She may feel a sudden sense of caution, a hesitation that seems out of place, or a persistent "don't go there" feeling about a person, situation, or decision. These intuitive signals are not to be ignored. They are a spiritual compass, indicating that God's hand is actively shielding her from harm. They serve as a reminder that divine protection is not always about removing obstacles from the outside, but about guiding her from within, ensuring that her steps align with His perfect will. Often, intuitive warnings are experienced in moments of subtle unease. A woman may feel a sense of discomfort in a relationship, hesitation about a business decision, or doubt about an opportunity that seems otherwise promising. This inner prompting is the voice of God nudging her to pause, reflect, or pray before proceeding. It is a protective mechanism, keeping her from entering situations that could lead to emotional, physical, or spiritual harm. These warnings may not always make immediate sense, and they may even contradict her desires or plans, but they are rooted in God's wisdom and foresight, ensuring that she avoids paths that are misaligned with His purpose. The beauty of intuitive warnings is that they develop a woman's spiritual sensitivity. The more she tunes her heart to recognize God's voice, the more attuned she becomes to these subtle nudges. Prayer, meditation on Scripture, and spiritual reflection strengthen her ability to discern divine guidance from fear or anxiety. Over time, she learns to trust these inner impressions as God's protective hand, knowing that each prompt is designed to steer her towards safety, blessing, and spiritual growth. This discernment is not only a safeguard, it is a gift that fosters deeper intimacy with God and greater confidence in her daily decisions. Intuitive warnings also serve as a form of preparation. Even when a woman faces challenges that cannot be avoided, these inner signals provide her with the awareness and readiness to respond wisely. For example, she may sense tension in a situation before conflict arises, or feel a prompting to speak or act before an opportunity slips away. In this way, God's protective voice equips her with foresight and prudence, allowing her to navigate life with wisdom rather than being caught off guard. These intuitive experiences remind her that she is not navigating life blindly, but is being carefully guided by a loving God who knows the beginning from the end. Another important aspect of intuitive warnings is that they are often accompanied by peace when she obeys them. God's nudges are not about fear or restriction, they are about alignment with His will. When a woman listens to these warnings and follows the guidance, she often experiences an inner calm, confirmation, and confidence, even if the circumstances remain challenging. Conversely, ignoring these warnings can lead to stress, confusion, or unintended consequences, highlighting the protective and preventative nature of God's subtle communication. Ultimately, intuitive warnings are a testament to God's shielding hand in a woman's life. They are a clear sign that He is personally invested in her safety, well-being, and spiritual journey. They demonstrate that His protection is not only external, but also internal, guiding her thoughts, decisions, and actions with wisdom and love. When a woman learns to recognize, trust, and obey these divine nudges, she experiences a life marked by discernment, safety, and alignment with God's plan. These warnings are a spiritual gift, a protective shield, and a constant reminder that she is never alone, that her steps are being watched over, and that God's hand is guiding her through every choice, challenge, and season of life. Life often presents moments of difficulty that test the limits of human endurance. For a woman of faith, these moments can feel overwhelming, as though the weight of the world rests squarely on her shoulders. Yet one of the clearest indicators that God is shielding her is the remarkable strength that emerges precisely in times of weakness. This strength is not of human origin, it is supernatural, a divine empowerment that allows her to endure, overcome, and thrive despite circumstances that would otherwise seem insurmountable. It is God's way of showing that His protective hand is at work, equipping her to face challenges with courage, resilience, and faith. Strength in weakness is often revealed during times of trial when all human resources have been exhausted. A woman may face financial difficulties, relational struggles, health concerns, or emotional burdens that feel beyond her capacity to bear. In these moments, she may notice a quiet yet undeniable power rising within her, a courage to persevere, a clarity of mind to make wise decisions, and a resilience of spirit that refuses to be defeated. This is not ordinary strength. It is a sign that God is actively shielding her, infusing her with what she needs to navigate life's storms. While the world may see her as vulnerable, God sees her as fortified and equipped, protected by His hand. This strength also has a spiritual dimension. Weakness often exposes our dependence on God, reminding us that we are not self-sufficient. When a woman acknowledges her limitations and allows God to work through her, she discovers that His power is made perfect in her weakness. What may have seemed like vulnerability becomes a conduit for divine intervention. This is why the Apostle Paul wrote that when he was weak, he was strong, because it was in his moments of insufficiency that God's power was most evident. For a woman under God's shield, moments of weakness are not signs of failure, but opportunities for God to demonstrate His strength in her life. Another remarkable aspect of this divine strength is its transformative effect. Weakness often brings humility, patience, and sensitivity, qualities that are essential for spiritual growth. As a woman experiences God's power in her weakness, she learns to rely on His guidance, trust His timing, and lean on His wisdom rather than her own understanding. This transformation builds character, deepens faith, and nurtures a spiritual maturity that cannot be achieved through comfort or ease alone. The challenges that once seemed threatening become stepping stones toward a more profound understanding of God's protective presence. Strength in weakness is also evident in the ability to respond with grace and courage under pressure. When circumstances would normally provoke fear, anxiety, or despair, a woman who is shielded by God often finds herself responding with calm, confidence, and faith. This inner fortitude not only protects her from being overwhelmed, but also serves as a testimony to others. People around her can see the supernatural strength at work, a clear indication that her life is under divine protection. Her example encourages others to trust in God's power and to understand that true strength is not always visible. It is often hidden within a heart that is surrendered to God. Moreover, this strength empowers a woman to persevere in ways that align with God's purpose. Life's trials are not meaningless. They are opportunities for preparation, refinement, and breakthrough. When a woman experiences strength in weakness, she is able to continue walking her path faithfully, even when obstacles arise. This resilience ensures that she is not derailed by challenges, but is positioned to fulfill her destiny. God's shielding hand uses her moments of weakness to equip her with endurance, wisdom, and courage for the tasks He has called her to accomplish. Ultimately, strength in weakness is a profound indicator that God is actively protecting and empowering a woman. It reveals a God who not only watches over her, but also works within her, transforming limitations into power, vulnerability into courage, and trials into testimony. When a woman experiences this supernatural strength, she can trust that she is under divine protection, that she is equipped to overcome every challenge, and that her weakness is never wasted, but is being used by God to reveal His power, grace, and glory in her life. It is in these moments of apparent insufficiency that she discovers the fullness of God's shielding presence, knowing that she is never alone, never abandoned, and always equipped to thrive in His perfect plan. Life is a journey filled with challenges, tests, and trials, and for a woman walking in faith, these moments are not merely obstacles, they are opportunities for spiritual growth. One of the clearest indicators that God is shielding a woman is the way she experiences transformation and deepening faith through the very challenges that could have overwhelmed her. When difficulties arise, instead of breaking her spirit, they refine her character, strengthen her trust in God, and draw her closer to His presence. This spiritual growth is a powerful sign that God is actively guiding and protecting her, turning trials into tools for her ultimate blessing and purpose. Challenges in life often test a woman's patience, resilience, and faith. When faced with adversity, she may initially feel fear, confusion, or weakness. However, under God's shield, these challenges become instruments for cultivating qualities that cannot be developed in ease or comfort alone. Through perseverance in trials, she learns humility, reliance on God, and discernment. She begins to understand that true spiritual strength is forged not in the absence of difficulty, but through the faithful navigation of it. Every challenge she endures becomes a stepping stone toward greater maturity, equipping her with wisdom, perspective, and grace that will serve her throughout life. Spiritual growth through challenges also strengthens a woman's relationship with God. When she encounters situations beyond her control, she is compelled to seek His guidance, to pray earnestly, and to place her trust in His wisdom and timing. In these moments, she experiences God's faithfulness firsthand, witnessing how He provides, protects, and intervenes in ways that surpass human understanding. Each trial becomes a testament to His love and an opportunity for her faith to deepen. She learns to depend on God's power rather than her own, realizing that His strength is made perfect in her weakness and that His plans are far greater than anything she could orchestrate alone. Moreover, challenges offer clarity about priorities and purpose. Life's difficulties often force reflection and introspection, allowing a woman to evaluate what truly matters in her spiritual journey. Through these experiences, she may uncover hidden strengths, discover new callings, or gain insight into areas of her life that require transformation. God uses these circumstances to shape her heart, align her desires with His will, and prepare her for greater responsibilities. The spiritual growth that emerges from such refinement is evidence of His shielding hand, ensuring that she is equipped not only to survive trials, but to thrive in her God-given purpose. Another dimension of spiritual growth through challenges is the development of perseverance and endurance. Challenges are rarely instantaneous. They often require sustained effort, faith, and patience. A woman under God's protection learns to endure with hope and confidence, understanding that every difficulty is temporary and serves a greater divine purpose. This endurance becomes a hallmark of her faith, enabling her to navigate future trials with greater resilience and trust. She begins to recognize that God is not only guiding her through present struggles, but also preparing her for future victories, and that each test is a necessary step in her spiritual formation. Spiritual growth through challenges also produces a sense of empathy and compassion. As a woman experiences hardship and witnesses God's guidance in her own life, she becomes more sensitive to the struggles of others. She can offer encouragement, wisdom, and support to those facing similar trials, becoming a vessel of God's love and testimony. This ability to minister to others while navigating personal challenges is itself a sign of divine protection, demonstrating that God's hand is at work not only to shield her, but to prepare her to bless others. Ultimately, spiritual growth through challenges is one of the clearest indicators that a woman is under God's protection. It shows that God is not passive in her difficulties, but is actively transforming them into opportunities for refinement, wisdom, and increased faith. Every trial becomes a moment to deepen her relationship with Him, to strengthen her character, and to align her life with His purpose. A woman who experiences this growth can be confident that she is shielded by God, guided by His wisdom, and prepared for the plans He has in store. Through the very challenges that life presents, She discovers that God's hand is not only protecting her from harm, but also shaping her into the woman He created her to be. Faithful, resilient, and spiritually mature, ready to walk boldly in His divine plan. Beloved sisters, as we reflect on these signs, it becomes clear that God's protection is real, personal, and active in your life. From the peace that sustains you amidst chaos, to doors opening at the perfect time, to His divine interventions, intuitive warnings, supernatural strength in weakness, and spiritual growth through challenges. Each of these is a testimony that you are under the care of a loving, all-knowing God. Remember, being shielded by God does not mean a life free from trials. It means walking through them with His hand guiding, protecting, and empowering you every step of the way. It means that no matter what storms arise, you are equipped with courage, wisdom, and resilience. It means that every challenge is a stepping stone, every warning a guiding light, and every blessing a confirmation of His faithfulness. So, embrace this truth with confidence. You are chosen, you are protected, and you are deeply loved. Trust God's timing, listen for His guidance, and walk boldly in faith, knowing that His shielding hand will never fail. Stand firm, walk with courage, and let the world see the power of a woman guarded by the Most High. May you go forth strengthened, encouraged, and fully assured that the God who shields you is faithful, mighty, and ever present in your life. You are His, and nothing can separate you from His protection.